welcome guys. Episode 16. This is like part 2 now of blended families. As you can see, we have Ashanti and her husband Raggo here again, joining us. Boom bang. Mister's looking up to find out what number 16 means. But like I say every week, blessed and highly favoured. You don't know. Anyway. You got it?
No, yeah.
Oh, alright, cool. Well, anyway, if you haven't seen part 1, after you watch this one, go back and watch part 1 because it's worth it, definitely. We're going to go over some of the topics we spoke about on the first episode, and we've got some questions that were posed to us through people that watched that episode and wanted to find out a little bit more about you guys. So, for those...
Hold on, they say, hold on, sorry. I don't know why it's saying the meaning and symbolism of angel number 16. Encouragement and support. I don't know, that's a bit...
Wait, go back. Courage and angel, trying to get your attention, let you know that they are with you and that you have their...
No, allow it, man. Just say, what is it, highly flavoured?
Blessed and highly favoured.
That's it, leave it at that, man. That's just a man. 16 has no relevance.
No, man, it does.
Every number has a relevance.
Yeah.
It must do, innit? It must do, though, innit?
One is primary concept and 6
Yeah.
is death or rebirth. You know what I mean? So.
Or mix them together.
Mix them
Together. But now, yeah, so last time, we got a good response, so thank you for lot for sharing and getting involved. And then I got like messages from people saying like, oh, this is the one, I gotta say this, really gotta say this message, important. I've gotta definitely say this message. I'm prepared, but I'm not prepared.
Anticipation.
No, this was just a message. No drum roll, man. Putting pressure on me, man. Like, bro, man.
Pressure.
I can't find it.
And he was down there prepping.
I don't read out the whole message because that's long, but the person put a message in
Right,
about.
that's a
They were saying, please do it part 2, rather sooner than later. I've watched all episodes and I found fantastic, funny and informative. Thank you. I know I'm funny. But there's one bit in there. This is relatable, but has made me think of my family, both my blood family and my second side family that some of us knew about and some didn't.
Oh, okay.
It really made me think. Although I don't have kids, and there's more and more they go on. It's like a big dissertation. I'm not gonna lie. But the other thing was you dropped some gems last time. There were some gems. There was one in particular that people have literally they kept saying the same thing over and over again.
What was that?
And I think it was more what Ashanti said
Yeah.
about
Not writing someone off because of their past, as in they've got basically, as in Raggo's, he's gone through whatever he's gone through. He's got certain things out of his system, so on and so forth. So kind of like now you've got not the finished article because we're all a work in progress, but
all of that experience and wisdom.
that one. I kept hearing that back over and over again. Especially from females that are in situations or thinking about the future. Yeah. Because some of them just literally they just have this write-off element. Do you want that crisp? Yeah, you can bust that, man. Open it.
You can have it.
You can't open it.
Yeah, well, I guess like some people have a fixed idea of this is my list and I'm not deviating from this list. And whilst it's good to like, if you can see certain elements in a person that you know you can mesh well with, and this is what I want in a person, etc., etc. It's important to still explore that, but at the same time, don't be foolish. Though I'm not saying like be out here just loose balling. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't be foolish. You know, like you still have to make an informed decision. Can I manage A, B, and C? Can it still fit? And
but it's good. I'm glad you put that point. And I want to say that anything we say is just our view and our view only.
100%.
Like, please take everything with a pinch of salt, or any way you want.
Don't take it with a pinch of
Sometimes
salt.
you have to.
But do what works for you.
Do what works for you, innit?
Yeah.
Not all the time everything's gonna work, but this is our truth, so we're just kind of. But what people are literally like saying, like, you dropped that gem that made people just because they're so people have got this, they're like this, innit?
Yeah, I feel like
I think you've done that.
When we're trying to manifest something, I feel like we attach ourselves to the physical representation of the thing, yeah. And anytime I'm trying to manifest something, I always attach myself to the feeling, because the feeling is what makes me know when it comes in a different form than I imagined. It's that feeling that yeah, that's for me. Do you know what I mean? I could be trying to manifest a black car, and a silver car comes, but the silver car still gives me that same feeling. And I know, okay, right, that's my car. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's calm. So let me get there.
Anyway.
Let me get up the questions now.
I guess it's saying then basically some things, we're not God, innit? So we're not all seeing, all knowing.
Right.
And although we visualise to have certain things or a certain person, it might come packaged
In a different way.
in a
Yeah,
different
exactly
way.
that. Exactly that.
Yeah, and not writing something off on the get-go because it's not how you expect it.
Right, the way it's presented isn't.
Yeah.
When you look at the fundamental, like, yeah.
No, 100. Raggo's like, whatever she's talking about, man. Oh, sleep, fam. Sunday. Welcome to this done. No, wait there. There's calm privilege. No, we go in. No, but everybody, thank you. Subscribe, share, like, whatever you need to do. Big up the haters, then. We done know. I love you, regardless. I gotta pick up the haters.
Got to pray for your
Right, do we
enemy.
get a lot of dislikes or something?
No, don't get dislikes. You can't do that. You can't press the dislike button no more.
You can.
You can press it, but we only
but
see
you
it.
won't see.
Oh,
We only see it on the insights and that. But no one dislike. Actually, we've had no dislikes since you.
Yeah, but I'm saying the haters, I was thinking
He does it every week.
But you know what it is? There's some people out there that
will
are
feed us
watching.
the hate.
They're
Yeah.
watching the thing, and then they're hearing what's going on. Instead of coming to me directly or hit me up and say, "Look, I don't know what you're saying," or because some things can be taken out of context. Some people they see me and they think, this is the way I am, and they think that it's all a mask or whatever it is, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm just real. I'm the real as it comes. So.
Yeah.
If you can't take me for who I am, then there's a problem. It's not my problem. That's your problem. But I don't try and take that on board. But I don't mind people if they've got an issue saying, "Well, you know what? I don't like the way you explained that or something." Especially when I talk about families. I've done one on the families. People have got a bit like the way you're going on. You don't have a family. The way you're going on that you weren't you
weren't raised well.
You weren't raised well. Like it proper hit home to some people. But I'm saying this is that's how I felt like, at that particular time. So it's always. Yeah, anybody that, whatever, man, the haters.
Spicy in the comments, eh?
But it's not necessarily hate.
It ain't even through comments, bro. It's coming through indirect.
No, I get you, and I feel like sometimes, I feel like there's not many things in life that's personal, right? Unless you bang me in my face, that's personal. But you having
I love when she gets like that. She's still gangster for no reason.
No, I mean, like, you having an opinion on something or not misunderstanding me or whatever, that your understanding from your comprehension. You might not be at a certain, it's not even about level, but we're not in the same space mentally for you to understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Do you get it? So let's just leave them. Like, you know.
Yeah, that's my whole start.
Yeah, like it's not even that.
And you know what, even just touch on what you lot just said. How you lot are expressing from the pods that we've been doing, especially the one that we did with you yourselves. People are saying thank you for even just being open and that, because they don't see all that.
Yeah.
So that's what I take on more, is like, Rob, it's been hitting home to the right people and that kind of thing. So we appreciate you lot just coming down and literally, because we speak our truth quite a lot, me and Shan, but then it's good to see a nuts couple also doing the thing, especially something that's so, it's very sensitive. It is a sensitive topic.
Yeah, it is.
When you really pre it, it's like, right, it's a bit sensitive, you know. And I think it might, even with these questions we got today, it might get a little bit, get me. But either way, these are from the last pod, and then asking people, what do you want to, what else would you like us to talk about?
Okay. But sorry, just before you start, like, obviously, thank you for having us on your platform.
You got questions for us as well, innit?
But like, whatever we create is only as good as our connection. Do you know what I mean? Like, on and off this, we have good conversation. Do you know what I mean? So it's not, it's just us, innit? Do you know what I mean?
So what was your feedback and feeling after?
So we watched it together. Like, I think the night it came out or the night after.
You fell asleep.
Yeah.
No, joking.
So the response that I got a lot of like support and a lot of love, and I guess people were just thanking us for being open. It was good to see like two different couples coming together and just reasoning and chopping it up.
It was therapeutic.
Yeah, therapeutic, a lot of gems. A good representation of just like healthy black couples. We've got quite good feedback, innit?
Any negatives? No negatives.
No, but I don't think they'd say me like, oh yeah, Ashanti, I watched it and I didn't like it. Like, I don't think anyone would.
Oh.
So nothing came through the grapevine.
Yeah, no.
Oh man, there's always got to be one. Alright, let's just go in then, and because we're trying to. I want to thank the listeners, but at the same time, try and answer their questions as best we can and that kind of thing. Alright, so what I did, I put out a thing saying, what more can we discuss around blended families, and people just put in their thing. Alright, what were each of your biggest hurdles in this situation, and how did you overcome it? Why was it hard? What was each of your biggest hurdles in this situation, and how did you overcome it, and why was it hard?
In which situation?
Blended families.
And coming together, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess my biggest hurdle, I guess I'm quite an idealistic person. I like things to be done in the right way or the moral way or whatever, like the ideal way in my perspective. So I guess coming into our blended family, I had an idea based on like how I grew up that we're all just gonna be one unit, we're all gonna live good, we're all gonna just be one unit, innit? So when it wasn't as cohesive as I imagined it would be.
Okay.
And okay, maybe initially I thought, alright, we might have a bit of a rockiness initially, but when that initial rockiness, when it wasn't as cohesive as I would have liked, I guess that was my biggest challenge. Like, wow, like I just want us to all live good and just all be on one accord and raise these children as one unit. Do you know what I mean?
What is that? One unit with the other parents?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that was more my thing. So when that wasn't really a possibility, it was difficult for me. Yeah. And then having to realise, okay, cool, we could like it's just for me to focus on how me and him parent together as opposed to trying to include everybody else. So yeah, I guess that was the biggest challenge for me.
Basically, that you can't control outside
Of our home, yeah. And I guess like loving these children so much and not being able to have as much influence in their life as I would like. And I guess as mums, we have quite a lot of influence, so not being able to have.
Yeah, it's that nurturing aspect.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you've already built an emotional attachment.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you just want, that togetherness.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
But knowing that there are other dynamics at play.
Yeah.
And unless they're willing and open or at that place where they are happy to kind of bridge, you know what I mean, that gap, it's not in your control. And
I think also like where I am now, like just in my life, being able to be reflective and realise, okay, I could have been more compassionate. I could have been more empathetic or understanding to their situation or whatever they was going through. I'm just like, hey, no, let's all get together and parent and be on one accord. And they had to go through whatever they was going through. Do you know what I mean?
There might have still been a level of attachment, unforgiveness,
or healing that needed to be done, whatever. Do you know what I mean? So I could have been more compassionate or more understanding to the position that they was in.
They were,
you know?
Fair dues.
So yeah, that was my challenge.
Raggo?
Two things spring to mind. One of them is that, like, kind of around what people were saying about you have your ideals, you have your expectations, you have the way that you want things to go. And accepting, from you move out the home, it's not your house. As much as your children may be there, so you might be able to see things or foretell issues and problems that may come, and prevention is better than cure, but you might have to still go through a train wreck before it gets there, and accepting the fact that it's not, you can only do what you can do within your space or within your power, you know what I mean? So I guess it's the it's two different systems to one program. And having to the reboot, off boot, online, reprogram kind of thing, and accepting, like, there's something I've only kind of more come around to of late, of the fact that See, like some people, you just pick your kids up, you go do what you're doing with your kids and take them back. And that probably everybody would be happier. But having this idea of how I see my family unit or how I see my children or my people, how we should like, a lot of the problems I saw in the world, I felt would be fixed by a family unit, which would then go on to develop onto a village, which would then go on to develop to be a community. So in my mind, this was a small step on my mission towards greater, bigger things.
The betterment of our people.
Yeah, and being so focused on the big picture, I wasn't as focused as I needed to be on the actual job at hand.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? And then when the reality of that job started to kind of sit in my lap, that okay, things don't, these little Lego pieces which I need to build this big Lego piece, don't even sit together like that. Do you know what I mean? So just being able to control what you can control and accept what you can't.
And I guess trying to cram 7 days of parenting into the 2 days that we had. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I think what I was trying to say is basically, rather than just parenting from where I was, just do what I can, it was responsive parenting, or trying to unparent certain things, or trying to, because of my judgments or my feelings about whatever. And it's not to say that my feelings or judgments aren't wrong or misguided or whatever, but it's not my like, I've come to understand it's not my concern. It's not for you to. And if I'd have understood this 10 years ago, I would have spent a lot more time having fun or doing whatever.
Okay.
Like focusing on the right now as opposed to trying to undo, redo,
or planning
reprogram.
for 15 years. Like, have you guys ever seen Terminator?
Which one?
Terminator 2, Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but which one is that one? Which one is that one?
That's the Arnold Schwarzenegger one and the T-2000.
The metal thing.
It was out of order. That one was out of order. That one
you
there.
see Sarah Connor?
Right.
You see how she's raised up John Connor, like, rare, the end of the world's coming tomorrow, these Terminator dons are coming for you. Like, I've kind of parented my kids on this eminent, like, the world, just, do you know what I mean? On ready for whatever may come kind of situation, like the end of the world happening tomorrow. Not necessarily that specifically, but generally speaking. And I could have just spent more time just having fun. But
Just
because of
being
my
present.
concerns of, because of my concerns of whatever's going on in the world or whatever the issues or not the stability within our relationship or whatever the case may be. So basically one of my regrets, long story short, is, is it. Yeah, control what you can control and accept what you can't, basically.
Ultimately, you're passionate about your kids. Like, you want the best for your kids from your stance. And if the other parent or parents don't have that same, I guess, mindset or attitude or faith or whatever it is, then ultimately, like, when you do have that opportunity with your kids, you basically just wanted to try and instill as much as you could of yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's probably a bit ego driven. See that when you said that, like, and it's nourishing what you see of yourself in them, or trying to give what maybe you didn't get, or whatever the case may be. But they also another person, and maybe that what that person's given to them is good enough for that aspect of them. But because they're yours and you hold them so close,
it is.
It's so
It
complex.
really is.
It's so complex.
I think when we have children, we do want to kind of like be the potter, like they're the clay. You know what I mean? No, you got to shape here and
do it this way. There's that.
they're their own people.
Yeah.
And even like, it's our job to mold them and guide them. But from they can kind of communicate. They've already absorbed so much. They spent a year, 2 years watching, observing, taking in everything that happens.
Smallest of gestures and mannerisms.
So they are their own people, and we try to steer them and guide them, but ultimately they're gonna grow and like, see, like, now when they're getting older. So like, there's got other things that they want to do, and certain times you think, rare, went through all this and held on and did that and don't even find that. Do you know what I mean?
And I guess just to slightly deviate, one of the biggest lessons that I've learned from like our older children is parenting children in line with just who they are. Like, you see, like, I feel like my role as stepmom I've had to be very innovative in regards to my contribution. So just parenting them, not based on your mum, not based on your dad, just based on who you are. What do you need right now? What do you need today? Do you know what I mean? And it's taught me massively just in regards to parenting in general, you know.
So is that like more stepping outside of yourself? I guess in the sense of it's not all about what I want or what I desire. Like, how are you feeling? What do you want? What do you enjoy?
Yeah.
Where are you at?
Yeah. And I guess, like, you know, when you go back to your mum's house or when you come back here, like, removing all of these elements, like, it's not about your mum's, or it's not about your dad, or it's not about us, or it's not about like just right now who you are. That's my focus. You know.
Yeah. Not trying to bat against each other.
Yeah.
You know, so when they go back there now, a lot of that will get unravelled.
Yeah. And I guess knowing that, okay, your mum's house might be slightly different to our house. So when you go back to your mum's house, you're not going to do certain things that you do here there. So forget all of that. Just who are you and what do you need, you know?
Present in this particular moment.
Yeah.
I think trying to raise more than, like when you've got one child, or one child to a household even, it's
easier to do that.
Yeah, or not just to be so mindful about who they're. When you've got a group like any teacher or social worker or a kid worker, it's got to be to a degree a military. It's got to be kind of certain universal concepts, and then when there's multiple homes and people are coming from different spaces, you've got to have some kind of standard. But as that's been set, where they, like I said, people are older and their character has developed their past, their formative years, it is then now. Yeah, we still want to maintain that, but we have to figure out who we're governing in order to know how to govern it, you know? And so that was a big thing I had to learn in this circumstance, where I've come from that Sergeant Bilko. I've had to be a bit more social worker now to figure out who I'm talking to. You know? Therapist, you know?
But
You've done well.
And they don't expect it, they're like, you know, like when I'll be like dealing with feelings and stuff, like,
you're
so
right.
how are you feeling? And they're like, it's a
That's a
setup.
true question.
What do you want? I'm trying to trick you.
But then you don't. You know, but I've always been and I like what you said earlier, Raggo, about the whole element of how we see the world. If we fix here, we can hopefully have an impact there. And then because because you're I'm not of the world, but we see what's going on in the world and the impact it has on our young people and our children. That was what accelerates my mindset even more and to be more militant. Like, no, need to make sure everything's in check. This has to be done. But then obviously, like you said, the ideal world doesn't work that way. It's like, whoa, you can't really.
Do you know what? Sorry to cut you. Like, in line with what you're saying, you see when you have like mum and dad, or when you have a balanced unit, you can be that, and Shan can be this, and he can be that, and I can be like we both have two different roles for a reason. So times when you're Drill Sergeant Major, Shan is gonna come with the love or come with the nurturing. Or times when Shan is more, alright guys, this is what we're doing. You can come with the soft dad love. Like it takes mum and dad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think we're so used
100%. But the situation we have going forward is that, because we're saying about the control and the who should have control of the kids, us or the machine?
Before we even get there, right about now it's the perfect picture, because see this little pyramid here? It's balanced. See, like a magnet, positive, negative. And out of being in the space of both and seeing them both fully charged, you get a balanced energy field to go out in the world. But when enough time it ain't it's just a negative or just a positive, or too much of one and not enough of the other, the kids don't have that balanced force field of protection to go out in the world and feel safe and operate and give off that energy, so the world respects them as such. Do you know what I mean? And that's why you see, like predators smell prey. People can see when your frequency's off.
Yeah, of course.
See, a certain time you walk out the road, you feel a bit of, the few times I come at my house when I feel like that, I say, yo, Russ. Someone will help man and tell man, get back on your square. Do you know what I mean? So it's visible for those that are paying mind, but it's for us as families, like if you look at us as a battery or as a unit, as a circuit to the bigger circuit, if each of us are balanced, then when our energy goes back into the grid, it's good energy. 100%. Do you know what I mean? And it doesn't affect the rest. But that's not how the way they want things. Back to what you were saying about, is it the state or is it us?
That's what I'm saying. So how could we say we have to kind of like, I feel like to a certain extent I've had to kind of like properly bring down,
scale back your ambitions.
Yeah, to a point of where I don't want to go too far where I like bend right back and then I become, you get me, Neo, and I'm bending, but I want to be able to still stand strong in it, but able to still navigate and do what I need to do in that situation. But obviously we've got to have a complete balance of certain situations and say, all right, that thing we've got to leave alone, we've got to leave that alone, all right, put that into perspective, all right, and it's a constant thing where you feel you're being, because I see that world out there, it's not pretty.
But Max, that's what we're all out here trying to figure out, and it just looks different to different ones of us. That's why we might look at the next one and be like when I was a youth, I used to look at a man like Ainsley Harriott or Chris Eubank and think, well, I'm telling these man there. Why are they moving like that or whatever? But that's just the role that their life showed them to hold that position in order to navigate who they was and where they was trying to get to and the resources they had to get there. Do you know what I mean? So we're all, and these tools that we use, whether it be faith, whether it be, I don't know, whatever it case may be, is our tools to guide us or to get us
100%.
there on. So it looks different to different people come from different places, but we're all on that similar mission of figuring out balance between the inner man and the outer man in this mad place.
No,
Very
100.
true. I think we sometimes can be very quick to judge when we see some people's like characters or demeanors and whatnot. But ultimately, we don't know the upbringing, the background,
Circumstances.
or anything that has brought them to who they are or who we see that they are.
And often it's not even necessarily the person we're judging; it's positions. You
Yeah,
see,
the
like,
space they occupy,
one time I see some Jay-Z thing and he was talking about Red, like they're saying, how do you feel when people are on your case about this, that, the fourth, and it's like, they're not really on my case. They're onto me for this seat that I'm sitting in right now. And when I thought about that, back to what Shanti was saying earlier about not taking things personal, when you recognise the space that you fulfil and operate, then you will recognise the energy that you receive. And sometimes you even clock it. You know, you be with your friend and then something's changed. What's happened? Maybe you just got a new job or a new car. Or you got married, or you just had a baby, or and that could have been. We don't know. Maybe she can't have kids or something, or whatever. And you ain't had that discussion, but you felt it.
You felt it.
Yeah.
Straight. I spoke about something the other day. When you share good news or you share something with someone and you automatically feel the energy.
Yeah, 100%.
That's why I don't share too much. I share it with my wife. You know what I mean? Or if you're at my house, I might share it with you, but who comes to my house?
Yeah.
100. Now, what do you want to say? What have you found? Would you answer the same question? Like, what have you found? Like, it'd be interesting to find. What have you found? What's your biggest hurdle in the situation, and how did you overcome it, and why was it hard?
I was so engrossed listening to them. I didn't
Yeah.
myself.
It's like about it, do my own
my
thing.
biggest hurdle. I think my biggest hurdle was coming from a previous marriage. It was dysfunctional. It was short-lived, but nonetheless, it was a marriage. If that's what you call it. All right, stop. But yeah, I think it's coming from that situation and being open and confident enough to go into a new situation, knowing what issues that previous situation brought to my life and to the life of my children. So it was not only recognising my own healing process, but also making sure that my children, especially my eldest two, were in a good place too. Because I mean, they're not necessarily a privy to everything, but enough.
Yeah, they pick up on things.
Yeah, and it was just trusting that, I'm going into something healthy, right and true, and I'm not gonna not only have an impact on my life, but also on my children's life. I think that probably was the hardest, and for those reasons.
Wow.
Interesting.
I guess I don't think about it from that perspective because I didn't have children. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, for real. Wow.
Yeah, because I like when I think back, like when I got married, like my kids were excited.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were excited. They were happy.
Yeah.
Like they really, I guess, trusted that person.
Yeah.
To be who they thought they were.
Yeah.
So, yeah, to see it unravel as quickly as it did and how it did, I don't think I had to take a moment to actually fully digest not only the effect that had on me, but also on them too. You know, like it's not just a boyfriend girlfriend separation or whatnot. You know what I mean? They were all there witness to. You know what I mean? And I generally think when people get married, they don't get married to not stay married.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know, I don't. Alright, yeah, some people are a bit flippant, a bit blasé with you know what I mean, that action.
Yeah.
But it was a big thing at that time, right or wrongly. You know what I mean? It was. So, yeah.
How do they feel about marriage now? Have you spoke to them about it at all?
I haven't spoken to my eldest. But the 17-year-old ain't interested in marriage.
Okay.
She ain't interested in
And
marriage.
how did you know that like Max was the one and would like complement the family unit and you guys could go on to have a healthy relationship?
I can't say that I knew 100%,
Yeah.
but there was enough. I guess, character shown.
Okay.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of prayer. A lot of prayer took place, and a lot of observation. I guess one on not only how he was beforehand, but how he was like now.
Yeah.
So obviously it started off as just courtship and friendship.
Yeah.
So it's just observing him in that capacity.
Yeah.
And then it was ultimately just trusting.
Yeah.
And you spoke about that feeling of like I did have that kind of level of vibration. I remember he was round to talk about some work or whatever, and I remember I was about to walk past. He was holding Sky. Obviously, Sky is young. She's like one, in his hand in the kitchen, and I was about to like walk past him, and it literally felt like I felt like that.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
there was
yeah,
like a moment, like
yeah.
And to me, like he didn't notice it or whatever, but I was like whoa, like what was that? Like I'd never experienced that before. Like it just literally felt like I literally looked at him and I just felt drawn, and then I'm like what? Like and I started looking at him a bit like you know, and I was like, Lord, like what is this? I don't get it, kind of thing. Like I wasn't really trying to get into anything right now. Yeah, like I'm good, I'm happy, you know, like bringing something else into this happy place. Yeah, like do I really have the capacity, the heart, but hey, here we are.
No, I love that. I love that.
That's love. That's love.
What about you?
Me? I think proper when I'm listening to this conversation and I'm proper like, alright, let me take I get the answer. I have to answer it. I've had this. This has been. I've had this for long, so I haven't thought about it in that sense. But hearing what you're talking about, and then I think the hardest. I think that the biggest hurdle, was my oldest son.
Okay.
When I proper pre it now, I think the biggest hurdle was my oldest son. Cause I know his connection with his mum, innit? Like I know he has bare love for his mum and bare love for that. I know he was the one that cried at our wedding as well. Like, so he was like, oh my God. I said, what are you crying for? I said, I'm so happy you and mum. I was like, rah, you get me? I'll never forget. So, and I had to proper hold him. Like everybody's just holding him. Like, why are you crying for, bro? Like you should be, but so throughout the whole of the breakup, he's seen so much of me up and down and this, that and the other. We still had a beautiful connection, but there was this little thing in the back of my, and I believe it's in my head, not in his head, that I felt a disconnect. But it wasn't a disconnect, but I felt a disconnect. So when meeting Shannon and we're moving forward and that, and then I asked him certain questions, like when I asked him, like, you know, I was trying to drop it to him, you know, like that. I was beating around the bush like a joker as well, like with it, kind of saying like, you know, we alright, son, give up in the situation and that. And he's like, Dad, what's up? He just like, what you doing? Because he's just one of them straight to the point. I keep forgetting, he's just straight to the point. Don't beat around the bush, just tell him like, boom, 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 he just does it. And when I told him that, Dad, that's what you see happy. Like the weight off my shoulder was mad. It's like, it was mad. I was like, boom, 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 boom. I felt like, So I was able to just, and then to see him engage in the family, because he's the only one that's not directly here. So that was a thing of, I've always grown with him. Like, so to him to be not, like he's here. And if him and he calls Shan Preggers, and you get me to have a good relationship together, and his relationship with River, relationship with Sky, relationship with Tiana, it's like, and his brother is calm. So I think that was my.
That was more about you.
That was probably one of my. But I was overthinking things. I do that. You overthink things like, But I think that was one of my, one of my biggest hurdles in the whole thing, to know that.
Just thinking if he would accept.
And I want to be up. You know what? I've accepted it both ways. If he felt like I'm not happy or whatever, I was ready for anything. But I just having that conversation was just like, oh my days, I have to have this. Cause I don't, and I've learnt to now have them conversations with my son, like properly. If there's something that does bug me or I want to express something, I'll sit down with him and say, look, son, let's talk. So I make that a thing of now that ensure that no 2 days go past we don't speak.
Yeah.
Even though it's every day he phones me, but it's weird. But
Yeah.
I don't mind watch it. As long as it's even if it's a quick, yo, yeah, boom, bam, boom.
Yeah,
I don't mind that. You get me?
Yeah.
And to see his progression is mad. So I'm proud of him. I'm proud of all my children. So it's just like, yeah, I'm good with that. But that was a hard. That one, I don't know why that one was so hard, but it was so.
Yeah.
Mad.
I can imagine though. I guess as well, our children was a lot younger. Do you know what I mean? They was all young.
And that's
So
what I know, like.
yeah, like, and when, as I said on the last podcast, like when I think back now, like some of them was Nia's age. They was babies. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like
okay.
you know, yeah.
Wait, did you?
Go on.
No, did you introduce all the children at once?
Yeah.
No,
Alright.
no.
No, it was the 3 and then the rest.
Have you done it all at once? Imagine that.
I
This
think
is
we went cinema
No.
as your friend
Yeah.
with all of the children.
Yeah.
And I remember Isaiah came first, like met me first. Yeah, Isaiah met me first,
Okay.
and then the 3.
Well, one thing I was gonna say that was the next difficult thing was getting
Yeah,
used,
it's a 2 in it. I only had 2.
getting used to. No, I don't even think that's came to me as you was talking.
Oh, sorry.
Was getting used to the a change in lifestyle, like having a healthy functioning relationship or being in a healthy functioning space, not having to overfunction, not having to overdo to stay busy. Is that bit, healthy life is boring, you know? And if you're used to
If you're used to chaos, it's very linear, but it's very
True.
predictable. It's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
no females phoning my phone saying this or I found this or someone said hello Mr. Big, how you doing Mr. Big? None of those kinds of dramas. There's no beef. There's no and even like from just like working all these kind of things to 10 or 15 years ago when you're doing other stuff and there's excitement looking over your shoulder or whatever. Being in a healthy space is kind of, they don't make sitcoms about this stuff. Do you know what I mean? Or they make sitcoms about it, don't make movies because it's not exciting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but getting used to kind of just, okay,
That's a mad one because then
I'm gonna play some Scrabble. I'm gonna, yeah,
yeah, the calm.
readjusting to the calm and like, even down to like, for a certain point, people will be saying, I didn't not listen to music at no time of day. Whole day I'm banging music to the point where I could just chill out in silence. I don't need stimulation. I don't need,
100%.
you know what I mean? But that took, it's taken 5 years.
Yeah, I say like I think you underestimate like your rate of healing and growth. Like it's something that inspires me. Like I can't even articulate it. That's a whole next podcast.
no.
But anyway.
No, that's
I
a
can't,
powerful point. Like when you used to, because a lot of women are used to
that chaos. Like,
and that trauma. And
And the
when
police
they-
kicked off my door,
Yeah.
and my you went
And
to jail,
like,
and
they're
they shot in my front room,
feeding off of
and
it.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
smacked his baby mum in the teeth, and I did. Even think about criminals and adrenaline junkies or people that jump off of planes or whatever. They need that dopamine rush. Do you know what I mean? And when they don't get it, they go nuts.
Yeah.
And I think as well, just back to what you were saying about like healthy life, like being in a healthy relationship. And I remember like early in our marriage, might have been still within our first year of marriage. And we was just, I think I might have made us like hot chocolate and we was just like about to go to bed or something. And like your level of contentment in just our ordinary, like just our normal little everyday activities, like your level of contentment and my level of contentment was like, yeah, I could do this for life still. Like, you're my person that I want to do this with, do you know what I mean?
Because a lot of the time, in like, day follows night. So I'm used to like, alright, when we get a bit of comedy or we get a bit of love story, there's a tragedy that's soon gonna come in. And so I get to the point where I expect it.
You're
Like,
waiting for it.
I'm cool, I'm having the best time, and then I get a little, you know, like spider sense. And I'm waiting for things to, excuse my
It's
friend,
only a matter of time.
yeah, like, alright, cool, cha-cha-cha. Do you know what I mean? And then, but often, laws of attraction, or your point of focus, what you focus on is what you start to manifest.
Yeah.
Or you attract or do self-sabotage
You're like, why are you
to
moving like
be
that?
in
What's wrong with you?
certain circumstances. So it's breaking those patterns, and to not say to disregard those experiences that led me to think that way. I didn't just wake up and was like that's a trigger response to things that have happened. But other things can happen. You can rewrite your story, or you can change the chapter in the book of your life. You know what I mean? So you just turning
There it goes.
holding it shut. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that takes, I guess, a level of experience as well as maturity, and like you said as well, healing. Because many of people, to go from one extreme, they'll say, "Nah, that ain't for me. It's too boring."
Yeah.
It's like makes them revert back
Yeah,
to
true,
because
true,
that's
true.
their norm.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean?
Jan man was getting exciting life. I'm in the house. Auntie, or say like for example, the 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock when you get home from work. Like I've done everything. I've tidied up. I've got in from work. I've done what I need to do. I might have even all cooked to dinner. And now I've got an hour just to.
What we gonna do?
And don't get yourself into trouble. Like obviously nice. You
It's
know,
normal,
I'll just sit down and enjoy peace. No one ain't troubling me. Like this is great. You know what I mean?
Get this way, you'll be like, wait, go to your home. Like,
Yeah.
Come on.
Or having routine and structure. Like even before in my life, you never expect man to move. You don't know what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't serve me now. I can't work with other people moving so sporadic. Yeah.
Alright, so in the early days of that experience, was the enemy trying to come to catch your attention?
Not necessarily, because I know to abstain from any addictions or any dependency or whatever, you just avoid like if you're an alcoholic, do not go to the bar.
No, I
Stay
feel
on
as
the
well.
license.
And obviously, like, not to minimise how serious this was for you. I don't think I realised how much work and effort it took. Yeah. Like, in my mind, no, you're going to be monogamous. No, we're not gonna. No woman's gonna be in your line. No, like to me, it was just normal. It's just my normal expectation. But I think I took for granted how much work it took you to get there. Like what was normal to me, it wasn't normal to you. Do you know what I mean? And you really put the work in to be like, no. This is what I'm doing. I'm committed. I'm focused. I'm dedicated. And you really put the work in to do that. Do you know what I mean?
And I had a period of time. Basically, we separated ways for a period of time, about 6 months. Yeah. About 6 months, and within that time, all other relationships, everything I had in my life just kind of fell down the drain. Yeah, my job, like it was all nuts. Like I was hanging on by a thin line, managing my whole entire team, and the team had disappeared, and no one would give me like everything was. Man was in a storm, just holding on like.
No wait, let's backtrack a little bit. Sis.
Whoa.
Wait. So prior to us getting serious. We was around each other.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point where I'm saying, okay, this situation or the way you're living isn't for me. So I'm going to exit. I'm not exit in a sense where, well, you got to stop talking to this one and that one and you got to there was no ultimatum. I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
Like one morning, he woke up, was getting ready for work and I'm like, hey, you're not going to see me again. And it wasn't an ultimatum. It was just my chest, like, this is a wrap, this is over, this ain't for me and that kind of thing. And as he said, that for those 6 months, I think we might have spoke once or twice, but we didn't see each other, we didn't speak, etc., etc. And in my mind, like, this is over. Like, I've moved on. I'm getting on with my life. I felt like I was young and fly these times. Like, I'm just getting on with my life, innit? If someone would have said to me in that 6 months, we'd be together and be married and have children, and like, what? Are you smoking crack? Like, what are you on about? And then in getting back around each other after that 6 months and seeing a different person, like, I can't explain it even. Like,
There's better things you can't explain. You
I
take
But
got
I
deep.
deal with him in
yeah,
that
but
separation.
and beyond, but yeah, he had to be in a certain space in his life for him, not for me, not because any other woman was giving him an ultimatum. It had to be solely for him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And get into that space, it couldn't be like for me. Otherwise, you would have faltered every time.
For the wrong reasons.
Right, you know.
This is one thing I find, I don't know if it can happen vice versa, but I just see a lot of women will turn around and have a guy and they're with him and they love him or whatever, but he ain't in that space and they're like, you need to do this and you need to, and so you will either try his best,
Yeah, then falter.
but fall short, and then it's and then you're never going to rate him and it's never going to, or you don't try and then you're like, well, and it turns into a domestic or a tumultuous or that's my sneaky link or whatever, but it never fulfills what you want because there ain't no faith in it. There ain't no, you haven't let it do, back to what we were saying about our kids. Our kids are our own person, our partners are our own person, and a lot of time we write these people into the narrative of our lives and expect them to play a role. Here's the script on cue.
Yeah.
Human beings aren't like that. They do their own
For
thing.
real.
You know?
If someone's going to make a decision, they're going to have to make it on their own.
And even to maintain it, you might not be able to, but at least you've made it of your own cognizance, so it's easy for you to move with it. In that 6 months, like as I said, like very quickly, you just start seeing the value of other things and just looking around and not being happy and whatever. So, long story short, I very soon was single, and I ain't never been single since I was 15. So, that was a whole next experience. And then I'm back at my mum's and these things, so that's a whole next experience. And like starting back at square one and kind of just getting to know yourself and figuring things out. And within that time, I'm not around any females, I'm just going to work, I don't really want to back. Like even my reevaluation of people and all my relationships and how people relate to me and what role do I play and why do I play those things and how did we get here? Like I saw
It's the full level of that self-awareness.
I see something the other day and it was saying that a lot of time guys with single mums will find relationships with people so they can play the role that wasn't played in that relationship. Wow. So they want to come around and play some hero character that was missing in their thing. Yeah. And a lot of the dynamic with a lot of my kids' mums, no disrespect to them, it's a similar thing. And then once it gets past that first dynamic, what then? It doesn't, do you know what I mean? Because you want to replay this role in your mind. It's some kind of scar that you're trying to pick or heal or whatever the case. So deep in all these kind of deep, meaningful, sad, horrid, depressing things. Because I saw the next meeting today, talking about spirituality, and basically was saying that enough people think it's peace, it's love, it's incense, it's beads, it's namaste, it's one love and all that, yeah. But they never talk about the dark side, the spirit, and not necessarily spiritual. When you think spiritual warfare, people thinking Darth Vader with lightsaber. They're not just thinking of dealing with yourself and dealing with your own issues and the things that you've been through and how.
Dealing with those things, what it brings up.
Yeah, it's still on your
what
soul.
It looks like.
What it manifests like.
Yeah.
But at the end of all that, I was Superman. Like, man was flying and these.
Yeah, you was bare. I remember seeing you thinking, wow, boy, he's big.
Because I've gone from certain behaviour and certain things, and then I'm just dealing like focused life. You know what I mean? So all I had was my weights, innit? So I come home from work vexed, just.
I remember thinking you were so head. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, that and I was
dribbling in that. Why is she dribbling in? Why is she dribbling in?
Better press ups. That and I probably was I taking those times. That's not smoking.
I think you stopped smoking now.
Yeah, well there you go. So that's it.
No
So like,
weeds, no women.
this was just cold turkey, like some harsh life.
Cold winter.
Yeah.
So how did you rekindle?
I think I come to get the thing for Mother's Day, innit?
Oh yeah, I used to make like hampers, like toiletry hampers and stuff, and he came to pick one up for his mum. And then we started talking about, and then it kind of just went from there.
Are you lot upstairs? Hello? You're making too much noise, we can hear you. Go upstairs. Please. Oh yeah, Nay's in their bedroom, that's why they're moving like that. Yeah, sorry.
I thought Nate to come out.
Oh, she's taking a picture.
Sleeping in bunk beds.
Excited.
Yeah, it kind of just went from there. Like, yeah, it kind of just went from there. Like, from there we started chilling again, and yeah, we got after there.
Yeah, and then their birthday come round.
Nah, before that, you're jumping a little bit. Like,
Missing out bare things, fam.
so we started chilling, and then anyway, yeah, we got there.
What? Go on, so
We got there. Anyway,
Lord,
next
have
question. We got there.
mercy. All day and party.
How long have you been together?
So, we've been married 4 years. We've been together, how old am I now? 32, since I was 23,
Yeah.
9 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
9 years? 9
February
years, February.
22nd or 23rd. Is that my time?
Oh yeah,
my time. Them big up
My time.
My time. Nah. So yeah, this is another question. I don't know if it's really. Do you feel like a mum and dad to the kids that you're not biologically yours? Also, do the kids say mum and dad? So I suppose do they call you mum and dad? Okay. Do you feel like a mum and dad to the kids that you're not biologically yours? Do the kids say mum and dad?
Well, it's not dad. That's
Or mum or dad?
Oh yeah, mum. Yeah, okay.
No, but I'm putting it out to all of us. We're
yeah.
all cool.
Do I feel like a mum to them? I feel like I love them like I'm their mum. And when they're in my care, I treat them how a mum would treat them.
Okay.
What's hard, as I said earlier, like being limited in what I can do. Do you know what I mean? Like they don't live with us all the time. So being limited in that sense, it will make me feel invalid in my motherhood. Do you know what I mean? So I had to get to a space of not weighing my motherhood on that.
What does that look like? What does that look like? 'Cause some people
there's only
probably.
No, so like, say for example, I don't know, could be something like applying for schools. Yeah.
Cool.
So I know, okay, this one's going to school next year. So me, for all that, yeah, I'm looking at websites, schools in their area. Oh, this school's going on with thing. Oh, this school's bad, let's stay away from that one. Oh, this school's got this activity. Or that school's doing this, And then the way that things, the dynamic between us and the other parents, it's not a situation where we can all come together and say, where are you at? What are you thinking? What schools are you looking at? So it's all just thoughts in my mind. And then they're going to come and say, oh yeah, we went to this open day, this school we're going with. So all that research and planning that I've been doing just secretly to myself, it just stays in my mind because I don't have the opportunity to write, you know. So things like that. So like.
So what, you just leave, what would you do, is it now?
Like now, I feel like.
You just leave it or.
I feel like now I'm in a different space where I might send a message now. And even if the mum doesn't read it or receive it or go with my idea, I've shared this information that I've gained. Cool. So now I'd probably send a message. A couple years ago, up until last year probably even, I wouldn't have done that. Okay. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. In regards to them calling me mum, if they wanted to, I wouldn't say no. But I also would always remind them like your birth mum, like remind them of their birth mum. Do you know what I mean? But I wouldn't say, oh, you can't call me mum. Do you know what I mean? But I also wouldn't want to. I'm not trying to take the place of your birth mum.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
when our stepdaughter was young, she had the conversation at a certain point and she was like, oh, Jamal, can I be dad and that?
Okay.
And I was like,
okay.
Oh, okay. And probably now, if that was the circumstance, it would have been a conversation for us to have. But mum was like, at that time, mum, so-and-so wants to have a conversation. So this conversation that I already had, and we didn't have any discussion, so I was kind of like... and my response was, well, you can call me what you like, because our relationship is what our relationship is. And to answer the question, I feel like a parent.
Yeah.
But, because that's... See what I said about earlier, the seat you sit in.
Yeah.
That's the role I occupy.
Yeah.
With this dynamic. But I don't want your whoever to feel away, because I have a child and he had a step, and at that time when it first kind of came around, I was like, Ram, I never did no Irish jig at this place, so for you to step in, it's not, it's no line dance. Like what? Like I felt away at that time when people were doing it, like especially where it wasn't like happened over a long period of time. It was very quickly that came about near. So but yeah, long story short is, and I explained that to her. I said, rare, like that's how I feel in the situation. So I'm always gonna be here, and to this day we still have a relationship. And even that for myself, to protect myself, because one day you lot might decide you don't want to build up your thing again. And then how am I gonna feel after I put in this time, effort, expenses? Because I've never treated no one any different from no one. You know what I mean? So and certain things like that kind of came to pot. So.
Okay.
That's
how old was she when you came into her life?
Probably about 3, 4.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess like even like, in meeting all of the children, meeting her, I was probably the most nervous about, in a sense where Jamal's not her biological dad, so how is she gonna receive me? And
on top of that,
she's used to him being with her mum, and like I was just way overthinking it. When I met her, like we just got like a house on fire, and we just had like such genuine connection, you know. So yeah, I appreciate that about her still. Like she didn't have to take me on, she didn't have to be welcoming, you know. All of them really.
No, it makes sense.
How does that feel?
No, well, the obviously we know Sky on her own has called me dad. It wasn't a forced thing, because the only thing she was hearing in the house was Shan would call me baby, so all she used to call me baby, which was calm. But then there was a shift. Something happened, and the shift happened, and literally, I think it was she was watching Peppa Pig at the time or something stupid. And I think she just picked up from there. It wasn't a thing of where we said, you know, you're calling me daddy, or you get me. It was like
it was just organic.
It was so organic. It was unreal. But it was at a pinnacle point of our life, my life, where I felt a bit away in certain situations, and then for her to do that, it just changed everything. So I knew exactly where I would fit, because I was fighting against certain ideologies of that. If we're gonna have this family, everybody's got to be together. Shan, relax. I've got this. Right, man, them, yo, Avengers, boom. You get me? Man, them talking. You get me? Let's have this happen. Like, bro, you come pick up your daughter. Where, boom, 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 boom. It didn't come to fruition to what I expected it to come. I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but I didn't expect it to be the way it would turn out. But the saving grace of it all is her actually saying, you know what, Dad, and it put everything out there.
See what I said about when you're sitting in the driver's seat, you're the driver. Do you know what I mean? So where you was in that seat, people could recognise the actions and behaviours of that, and that's why they responded to that. So you said, Daddy Pig. Daddy Pig's a prototype in it. He's playing a role in the dynamic of that unit, which we call a family. So in her mind, she's looking at that program, and then she's looking at the real program she's getting from life. And you fit the two things like a tracing paper.
Yeah, 100.
Transfer. Do you know what I mean? So it's about the role you sit in. Not
It was
necessarily
because it's all fresh in it. It's fresh. So my head is like, man's dead there, innit? So why do you get me? Like,
how did you feel? Like when you first heard that, like how did you feel? Like
it shut down everything. No, it was a throwback. It was literally a thing like, what do I do with this? Shan's like, cool, go on. Like Shan was always just, it's gonna happen like that anyway. It's gonna happen naturally. Like she knew
she
it.
was young.
Yeah.
I think because she was young and because her biological father wasn't very consistent. But then when there was a period where you were a little bit, I don't know how, not reluctant, but you were questioning. You were questioning certain things or how you should feel about that. So
What do you mean? When she called me dad?
Yeah,
She called me dad.
when she was already.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I went defense mechanism. I said, I'll get her to stop.
Yeah.
Like, if it's a problem, if it's an issue, then I will, you know what I mean, I'll get her to call you by Max or parent, you know what I mean, whatever. And you were just like, no, it's not that. It's just that, you know, la-di-da-di-da.
It's the ideology again, isn't it? It's the ideal world that I was trying to...
But my whole thing is, she did it on her.
Literally. Yeah, we didn't initiate this,
And I did warn her biological. And when he was in contact, I said, look, I'm in a new relationship. She's hardly seeing you, and she's calling him dad now. Like, you need to, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
Was she calling me dad then? Or no, she went.
No, she was.
She was. Okay.
And I said, it's not an issue on this part, but I'm saying to you.
Yeah, if you want her to know you,
then you're gonna have to.
Yeah.
Because right now she doesn't know to call you dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he took it as like an attack and like I'm just being vindictive and you know what I mean, what have you. But I said to him, look, I'm actually telling you this because it's happening. I'm not trying to make it happen.
Yeah. But it's just.
But I'm saying to you like what I've been saying from way quay, like. You need to step up. Like, and you know what I mean, he chose to, well, he did and he didn't. And so. But I didn't have an issue with it in that said. Like, I would have had an issue if, well, I wouldn't have allowed it if this weren't what it was.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? And she doesn't know any different. Obviously, in time. That will be another conversation. But and in regards to the boy, they're grown now.
Just remix your name in it, Preggers or
Mumsy
or whatever kind of thing.
But,
and the girls is just Max. no, Janica's Terrence. She don't like the Max.
Oh, is it?
I've only started calling him Max because I just hear it more often.
Yeah.
And obviously Max and Shan.
Yeah.
And my mum calls you Max.
Yeah, I get a mix in it. The whole family called me Max.
Yeah, well, my auntie will message me and say, because my auntie, I think last Christmas or the Christmas before, was doing like personalised gifts. I'm like, what should I write, Max or Terrence? Like,
what's your middle name again, Max? Aloysius?
Terrence. No, Terrence is my middle name.
No,
So what's
Ignatius
is my first
name. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, Ignatius Terrence.
I'm not calling you Max no more.
I feel like if I'm talking to you, I'll call you T. Like, oh, yo, T, you're right. But if I'm talking about you, I'll call you Max. Like,
Yeah,
I'll be
but
like, oh,
no.
yeah, I spoke to Max today.
No, someone said that yesterday because they feel that like Kevin, for instance, was like accident. Someone was saying, "Yeah, that's Max the cab driver. He's like that." And then as we're walking across the road, she's like, "Yeah, Max. I can't believe I called you Max. It's Terrence." Like because they people like that that difference of privilege. I don't know what I don't care. Whatever it is, that's my name. My name in
Max
it.
is like a.
It's the old
community.
ego, innit?
Station
Yeah.
name, kind of like little.
Oh,
Yeah,
come on now.
Terrence
I was the
is-
community. Terrence was the community then. Ashanti, back in the days though, it was Terrence.
No, I met you was Max, the cab
swear
driver.
down.
Like
Oh,
Max,
shame.
the cab driver.
Oh,
See,
I don't know how I even knew your name was Terrence.
oh shit.
Even
Maybe as we started to form our friendship, I don't know.
Oh wow.
Even when I hear people that don't even really know you and they call you Terry, I was like, looking for
Oh, Terry's the white. Terry's the that's the
Right,
white.
tell.
Terry's only like
Tell.
mum, it's
I hate it.
family. Like,
I said that to John.
He's a
like-
diamond gazer. Diamond.
and I wouldn't call you Terry because that's what my sister's name.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah,
call my
yeah.
sister. So, but yeah, generally I'd say Terrence or whatever other, you know what I mean, cute name. But now I've just recently been saying Max. I don't like it. I actually don't like it. I feel like I've been infiltrated.
Yeah, I know what you mean.